Here with us today, as usual, news observer Sergey Mikheyev. Good afternoon, Sergey. Plenty of topics to discuss again. Well, why don't we start with the loud statements from the president? On Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin took part in Valdai International Club plenary session. Among the rest, he talked about the danger of prehistoric nationalism and made a joke about nuclear war. Any aggressor must be aware that retaliation is imminent and that they will be destroyed. Then we, as the victims of aggression, as martyrs, will go to heaven. As for them, they will simply bite the dust, as there won't be enough time for them to repent what they've done. End quote. Sergey, what idea did Vladimir Putin mean to convey by these words?
I also cherish the thought that we'll get straight to heaven, and they will simply kick the bucket. It motivates to work and fills life with meaning. Well, as far as the event itself, I would refrain from calling it his keynote address. It's a recurrent event, where the questions are mainly asked by foreign experts and journalists. They mainly raise the issues of their concern. So I believe that it only covers a certain part of the topics on the table. Is this some key point political address? Of course not. The major coverage to this speech is explained by the fact that it's delivered by President of the Russian Federation. So he had to answer the questions he was asked. The foreigners are interested to learn about the possible aggressive plans of Russia and the like. Putin made a clear statement. There is no preventive nuclear strike in our doctrine. We are not going to do that. And it's not some new information anyway. Everybody is aware of that. But the retaliation is inevitable, regardless of who and how will attempt to strike on the Russian Federation. Such a resolute and definitive statement sends a clear message to our potential opponents, enemies. But in fact, it is no secret, and I believe that this was the reason why Putin decided to make such a joke on this matter. Because, to be honest, this is stipulated in the military doctrine. The journalists are well aware that in case of confirmed attack, a counterstrike will be launched. That will pretty much guarantee the elimination of the enemy in case of a nuclear strike. This is exactly why nuclear weapons are in fact deterrent weapons. I don't think that Putin meant to cause depression. He just described the real situation, and did it in a joking manner. Basically, he's right. The victims of an aggression will become martyrs, and the aggressor will definitely have no time to repent.
How to your thinking would the Western journalists react to this statement?
Oh, hard to say. I didn't follow the reaction of Western journalists. To be honest, we worry too much about this. Let them think whatever they want. What does it have to do with us? They can be categorized into several groups, so to speak. Majority of the Western journalists and the so-called experts, politicians, are currently extremely hostile to us. So, whatever you tell them, they will twist it the way they need. By the way, local Russian liberals will do the same. They have already started howling that Putin wants to bury everyone today, or tomorrow the latest. It's a pure sleight of hand, typical of the people with perverted minds. Sometimes people's way of life affects the way they think. There is also a minor group of somewhat saner journalists, experts, and so on. They heard the speech, they got the idea. Pretty much all of them summoned at the Valdai conference. We give them shelter here. As far as specialists, military officials and the decision makers, they knew it without any conferences. They understand it perfectly well. Because if they hadn't known that Russia was capable to counterstrike, our country would have long been chewed up with guts. I don't have the slightest doubt about that. There must be no chocolate-covered lies. There's no peacefulness in them. If only they felt that we are not able to counter, I believe our life would be totally different by now. They would have torn us to pieces. That's it.
According to Military Times poll, U.S. military officials believe that the war between Russia and the U.S. is inevitable. Do you think that Vladimir Putin's speech threw some cold water on them?
You see, it's not as straightforward as it might seem. Unfortunately, due to our do-nothing approach after the collapse of the USSR, many people in the West can hardly take an unbiased look at the situation. They decided that they are the winners, they are second to none, and they are absolutely unbeatable, and can now do any kind of experiment in this world. Bit by bit they started coming up with an idea of a restricted nuclear strike. They come to think that war against Russia or China is imminent, but there is nothing to fear of. This will not lead the collapse of Western civilization. I believe that our peacefulness over the past 27 years has seriously overindulged them. And we are not talking about jokes only. We have overindulged the people who have power, including military, and who can create huge problems for the whole world. We shouldn't have behaved like that. I believe we need to throw cold water on them every single day, literally, so that the thoughts about war against Russia would never visit their minds. I think that the statement of the American experts that you cited is to some extent irresponsible, because if Americans wanted war, the war would already be in progress. For example, Syria provides a perfect opportunity for those eager to engage in war with Russia. There are both American and Russian troops in there. If they need a cause, they could easily provoke an armed clash between the Russian and American forces and call it casus belli. They have not, so far, because there are still some straight-thinking people left among American military political leaders. It's not that they like us, they don't, and perhaps they even hate us. But they are able to take an unbiased look at the situation and realize that this would cause catastrophic consequences for the USA as well as for the rest of the Western civilization. But unfortunately, here's the tendency that we've got today. The more we speak about international law and show peacefulness, like Russia will not respond, China will not respond. War is what we see in the movies, on the internet, at stock exchange. The more people get the feeling of all permissiveness, impunity, which is rather dangerous. I believe that in order to preserve peace on this planet, they should be cut down to size every now and then. Such statements are meant to make them understand. When all these sanctions hysterics started, like Russia is to be curbed, and so on, it looked like EU and US lost the ability to feel any danger altogether. Honestly, they no more care about a nuclear bomb falling on their own town, straight onto their head, or a nuclear warhead wiping from the face of Earth the city where they live. Not somewhere in Syria, or Ukraine, or elsewhere, but right where they live. They lost this feeling and got overly self-asserting. Now it seems to them that everything is possible. What's the big deal about a war with Russia? So, to my thinking, this is what Vladimir Putin was talking about. No doubt, it's easy to start a war, but it will result in mass annihilation of all the sides. But he also mentioned that for those who believe in afterlife, there will still be a difference. There you go.